Hello, welcome to our show. Thank you for your support and thank you for all you do for us. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and then follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Please ensure to subscribe on our YouTube for daily episodes. We are just going to talk about the WAFCON, Nigerians outing at the WAFCON, how they performed, how they succeeded in the match, 3-2 win over Morocco, and then the suspense and everything that had to do with the match, how they went through the group stage. I think throughout the match they only scored against Nigeria 2 times, and I think that is a welcome development. And this has opened the conversation, opened the door for the conversation, comparing them to the men's team. The men hasn't won any trophy in a long time. And then this also opened the conversation about women in sports, and their compensation. If you come to America, you see that, the men basketball team, they earn significantly higher than women's basketball team. And the argument is that the men bring in more revenue than the women. So tonight we are going to look into all of that stuff, and we'll see that, our president, compensated them handsomely. People are of the opinion that they were overcompensated because they gave them three-bedroom apartment in Abuja and at the Renew Hope Estate. Gave them $100,000, but naira equivalent of $100,000 for the players, and the $50,000 for the 11-man technical committee. And also gave them a national honor, Order of Nigeria, OON. And tonight we are just going to look at all of that as it unfolded. And then people are saying that somebody like Sani Shehu said that there are only three things that unite Nigeria: when we are playing soccer and we are winning, and when somebody else from outside is trying to fight us. And then I think the other one is when there is issue with US visa or something like along that line. And of a truth, it looks like the only thing that has succeeded in uniting Nigeria, be it Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, is soccer. And even across Africa, I think the only thing that has succeeded in uniting us across Africa is soccer. So what do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, they had a good performance. It was a good outing. Anytime you participate in the competition and you come out at the top, it's always a good thing. It brings prestige and honor back to the country, back to the players, and they become a force to reckon with, not just in Africa, but internationally. So all of those people that participated in the game, in that competition, I believe their value in the sport market will definitely increase. And some of them that didn't have the proper visibility before the competition will be getting some visibility based on their performance in the just concluded WAFCON game. So it's a welcome development. It's bringing good light to the country, to the people of the country. So lately we've been getting a lot of aid, especially from other African countries, our neighbors surrounding us. But maybe part of it is our fault. Maybe part of it is them not being open-minded. But it is what it is. The women's team participated in this, and they won the competition. It's always a good thing, and this is their 10th title. Even though different players have won it over the last few years, but it's always a good thing. It's bringing the country into good light. Like you said, sports bring people together, no matter the language barriers, no matter the class barriers. It brings people together, have fun, enjoy the games, and at the end of the day, you know, celebrate if your team wins, and if your team doesn't win, you get over it after a few days or after a few hours. I think it's very interesting, and I'm sure some people would have preferred the women's team lost the game. I was looking at a Facebook post. I guess it was from the Iowa's Facebook page, and they were referring to the players in a derogatory way. They were being called Oduduwa players. They're being called Biafra players. No, it's one Nigeria, and we just need to encourage each other, bring each other along, and just enjoy the win and enjoy the success. I know some of these players, they're not homegrown players because of the situation of things in the country, but they came back to the country, invested time and energy, and at the end of the day, they came out at the top, and it's also good for the country. So I don't understand why some groups will be saying some derogatory things about the people. If they had lost, they would say Nigerian people lost, not Oduduwa, no Biafra, but Nigeria. As long as we're still one Nigeria, we should continue to do things in order and also do things in unity. And talking about the compensation, I don't think it's enough because these players had to spend a lot of money to prepare their own personal money, their own, they invested in their own health because if they're not healthy, they wouldn't have been called to play in the game. So I'm sure they invested a lot of money in their health, a lot of money in their physique, and also their teams wherever they're playing internationally. They invested money in them for them to be able to be fit, for them to be able to have that energy, have the force to compete against other women across Africa. So the 3 bedroom apartment is good. The money, $100,000, is good. You know, many of them don't even make that money annually. Some of them they make more than that where they play, but most of them they don't make that much. So it's a good thing. It's a thing of pride to show, hey, I represented my country and we won. So it's gonna be a day that they will never forget in their life. And also, good job to all the technical members of the team that participated and make sure that the ladies came on top. So good job, good job, good job to them. And we usually talk bad about the president, about the administration, about the things that they're doing wrong. And when they do some things right, we need to encourage them and let them know we see them that they're doing a great job. Hopefully those ladies will get the money in the past. Will add stories where players didn't get the right compensation, or by the time it got to them, some people took cuts from it and they didn't get the actual amount that they're supposed to get. So hopefully this $100,000 will get to them and they'll be proud and will want to represent Nigeria when they're called upon to do it at the next time.
Yeah, I think this is a welcome development. This is a good day for women's sport, especially women's soccer sport. It's a thing to celebrate. Growing up, I know a lot of women that now they are women, but then they were like girls and ladies. A lot of them that were significantly good, like very, very good in soccer, but they were unable to make it to the national team. And I am happy that they were able to constitute a team that went there and put out a performance that brought the trophy home. And I'm also glad, about about the support of Tinubu towards them. I'm not really his big fan. I'm not one of his fans, or I disagree with him on so many of his policies and the way he plays politics and stuff like that. But on this very, one, I think I agree with him. He been supportive. In fact, he even said he couldn't watch it because he didn't want to have a BP. I think some of that, is because, the Super Falcons were 2-0 behind before they scored 2 goals. And I think Che Junior and then Esther Okoronkwo before they scored 2 goals that equalizes it. And then I think Oshola, the one that played for Barcelona, I think she made the third goal. And even the wife of the president was very supportive. And I like all of that. But what I want to say is that whatever promises they have made to them, I think they should ensure that they fulfill that promise. We've seen in the past, like you said, where they promised heaven and earth. They promised everything, and none of that come to pass. I think Choma Ajunwa, if you remember, the woman that represented Nigeria in high jump so many years ago, I think in the 90s, a police officer, they promised her a 3 bedroom house. I think they did not give her that house, not until after 25 years. So Nigerians, I think we want this momentum to continue. Think they should quickly, quickly fulfill their promise, and then just that's the way. I think that's the way to keep the momentum going. Moving forward, I think this is the time also, despite the fact that they've won. I think this is the time for them to go back to the drawing board and keep and take a stock of what worked and then what did not work, and then deliberate on it and see what they can improve on. Just like one of the girls said, I think she's the captain. She said, it's good and nice that they are the champions in Africa, but they want to be on the world stage. We know that they have not been opportune to be on that world stage. So this is a perfect time for the technical committee, the managers, the coaches, and all of that stuff, all of them to come together and take a stock of what worked and what did not work and see what they can improve on. And then I think also they can also look into improving their welfare. I think that's the most important thing. Oftentimes we forget to take care of these people, just like the problem with police officers. We tend to forget how to take care of them. They should look into their welfare. We know that in the past, quite a few of our athletes have pledged allegiance to other countries, because of ill treatment from the Ministry of Sports. One of them is Ophelia, one lady they call Ophelia that is into sprinting or something like that. She quickly switched allegiance to another country because of how they treated her. They couldn't register her during the Olympics. They were coming up with a lot of excuses and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, she switched her allegiance to another country. And then, some people came out and say she's, very difficult person to work with. But, you fail to do your job and somebody picked offense because that is a career you playing with right there. So I think moving forward, we should continue to put serious people, whatever that has contributed to make this one a success. I think they should leverage on that and continue to do that, and also continue to, strive to surpass their record and see how they can continue to make, the women's sport, good and, better.
Yeah, definitely. And I know in the past we're not very good with recruiting the best players to play for the country just because over tribalism or because that's what the people making the decisions want. So, but it looks like we're getting better at it. We're inviting good players. We're inviting players that are not just homegrown, but they have international training. They have international standards, and I'm sure it's part of what led into this win. And I believe, like you said, it's a welcome development. It's always a good thing. Whenever we come on top in any games, in any sport event, it's very good, and hopefully the men's team will follow suit. And I know you can have an argument on whether the women's um, team has better quality to the men's team. I'll say they're better on their own. In the men's game, I believe there are more competition, more better players in the game, so it might be a little bit challenging for Nigerian players to succeed, like the men's team to succeed in AFCON. But they've done it in the past, and hopefully they can repeat it and get the AFCON trophy back to Nigeria. So it's always good, and hopefully men's team will be watching, and they'll do what's right. They'll put in their best effort and make Nigeria look good.
Yeah, and some of them have like a very thriving career. If I'm not mistaken, I think one of them actually graduated from Harvard, if I'm not mistaken. She's a molecular biologist, and she has a very thriving career, and a whole bunch of them do. So I think this will be a motivation. This will give our younger ones people to look up to, and just to see that there are things that they can do other than traditional career, going to school, study medicine, study law, and then they have people to look up to, and then they can try to venture into sports, whether it be soccer, swimming, whatever kind of sports. And then I think is a good thing. And I think on our individual level, we should encourage our children to take, to take a career in sports, just like they discussed in the church the other day. I think, we should start showing interest and support to our children if they have decided to, if they decide that sport is what they want to do. I remember back in the day that they used to chase us around when we go, go play soccer and stuff like that. You know, our parents, they really think that, at that time they thought that, playing soccer is just wasting your time or wasting your life. And then today we can see, how people have, built an outstanding career from sport. Not, we're not even going to mention, foreigners. Let's even start with our people, Victor Sime, Boniface, Jejo Okocha, Kano. A lot of them made a very, good living from sport. And that is possible for our children too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. But as a parent, I want them to play it safe. Have a backup plan for every Victor Osimhen out there. There are thousands of unknown names that struggle. They're still struggling even in the local league. So I think it's important for them to have a backup plan in case the sport thing doesn't work out. And it won't hurt because you can't play soccer forever. You can play football forever. You can't play basketball forever. At one point, you will have to make that decision to retire. So if you don't have anything tangible to do, and if you squander your earnings, you're gonna struggle. So I think it's important for them to have a backup plan. Even when they're successful in their career, they still need to, invest in some businesses that will tie the money down so they won't just spend all the money and lose everything when they get hurt or when they decide to retire. So you've seen people, basketball players that have, football players that have ended broke because of poor management and because they didn't manage their salaries, their earnings while they were still making this huge amount of money. So I think a backup plan is always good, whichever career you find yourself. The world is changing, things will continually change. And I'm not against sport. In fact, I love sports. So yeah, I'll just encourage them to have a backup plan in case it doesn't work out, in case they get hurt, in case any unplanned event occurs. So I think it makes sense. A backup plan makes sense in this situation.
Um, Thank you for listening to us. If you have a child that want to venture into sports, I think you should encourage them, them the support and the love, and also you can also look for a way to talk to them to have a backup plan. We see a lot of this, our women that represented us at the WAFCON. A lot of them have a thriving career outside of sports. I think two things can be true at the same time. If they want to go to school, if that is what you want them to do, allow them to go to school, and they can also do sports as a hobby, and then just encourage them and don't kill that dream. And thank you for watching.
All right. Thank you. Bye.